Hey, Kerry, can you hear me?
Uh-huh. I can.
Great. We're actually doing things differently today. We're actually recording this on Zoom because Zencaster is overwhelmed. They generously offered unlimited service to people, but now none of us can use it. At least I can't. Anyway, I'm Larry Magid, and with me is Kerry Gallagher. This is the Connect Safely podcast, and it's also a Zoomcast, a video cast today. So if you can access it here, or if this works on the Connect Safely YouTube page. Now, when I say it works, we're living in uncharted times, and so everybody is trying things. Even the networks are using Skype and Zoom to do their network broadcasts. So anyway, Kerry, how are you?
I'm good. It's been incredibly busy, but we're doing well.
You know, a lot of people are out of work, but you and many teachers are, as you said, incredibly busy. My daughter is as well, calling up all of her kindergarten students. Tell us what you're doing. That's kind of interesting.
Sure. So, my role in my school is, like you mentioned, I'm a teacher. I also have the privilege of serving as the assistant principal for teaching and learning. And part of my job description is managing the integration effectively of technology in our classrooms. And so, the logical next step when we're in times like these is that I would lead our transition to a remote learning program since it does rely on technology. And so the last week and a half, 2 weeks have really been dedicated to, along with the incredible members of my teaching and learning team, developing and implementing systems and virtual trainings for our teachers, and then providing support for our teachers as they've been rolling it out. And then in addition, teaching my own students via the remote platform. So
Mhm.
a lot of that is asynchronous assignments that they can do at their own pace on their own time. But I also had the opportunity to meet with my students on a video chat today for about
Great,
a half an
great.
hour and really see their faces and hear their voices. And you could tell they were thrilled to see each other too, which was great. So
That's terrific.
yeah.
You know, one question my wife asked, she's as you know, Kerry, she's a human relations commissioner in Palo Alto and has been working a lot with a lot of schools and others. And she asked about social emotional learning. This is a very stressful time for all of us, and I'm sure it's very stressful for students as well. So how are you dealing with the emotional aspect with your students?
Sure. So, a couple of things. We send out daily announcements via email at 8 a.m. every day. And included in that is a video message of encouragement from an adult member of our school community that the students are accustomed to hearing from. So they get that connection, even if it's asynchronous, along with some tips for success while they are on their academic journey. Um, but we also have, our school counselors reaching out to students who we know will need extra support because of what we know about their family situation or what they may or may not have access to at home. And then we also have learning coaches who are helping students who have their own learning difficulties and reaching out to them one-on-one as well, so that the students feel as though they have the tools for success. We also have we're one-to-one with iPads. And we really manage what kinds of tools students have access to on their iPads. And one of the things that we've added is Google Hangouts Meet to their iPads so
Mhm.
that they can use that to video chat with one another and stay connected
Yeah.
with their friends even when they can't physically be together. We also have a community development staff who are starting to put together some programming that will be rolling out soon for students. And our student council has been meeting, and other sort of clubs and activities have been meeting virtually so that students can stay connected, not just by doing their remote learning, but also having the opportunity to quote unquote see each other, even if it's virtual.
Now, in our podcast, I'm usually the one that asks the questions, but you had some ideas for topics, so I'm going to let you run with some of the things that you'd like to talk about.
Sure, sure. So one of the things I was thinking about is how can we help parents and teachers really get creative with how they're using what they have available at home to engage their students or their children, right, in learning activities that, number one, help them stay connected, make them feel creative and accomplished,
Mhm.
but also get them up and moving and maybe even outside.
Yeah, yeah.
So those are a lot of questions, but I thought it would be a good conversation for us to have.
Yeah, no, and how and I'll start off with one that we used as a family. And in my case, my children are older, they're adults, and they're all living with their partners somewhere else. But the other night we had a game night. And the way it worked is my daughter downloaded something called jackpotgames.com. That's where you get the software. I think it was $20 or $12 for a pack of games. and she ran them on her laptop in a Zoom shared window. So she shared a screen, so we could see each other in a little part of the screen on Zoom, and we could see her screen. And everybody had our phones in our hand, our laptop in front of us, and the laptop was kind of like the game board, and the phone was kind of like how you would manipulate the game. And the funny thing is, the term social isolation or social distancing is out there. We're actually as connected or maybe more connected now than we have been before, because first of all, professionally, I've been in meetings all the time on Zoom, but even as a family, we had a great evening together, and it was actually lovely.
Yeah, my husband and I have organized restaurant night
Mm,
with his parents, who are obviously my children's grandparents, and so we use the Facebook portal that we have in our kitchen
yep.
to do a messenger video chat with them while they're sitting at their kitchen table, and we're sitting at our kitchen table, and we actually spend the day texting back and forth deciding on the menu, so we're all
Mhm.
eating the same thing
Right.
together via the portal. And we have allowed the children to act as the servers, so they're the waiters and waitresses that are
Oh, how
serving us our
sweet.
meals.
Oh, how cute.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's been great because my kids have served their grandparents like steak tips through the portal by going like this.
Ah,
And then my in-laws will grab a plate that another one of them is handing them, and it'll just magically appear on there. So we've had meals together where we're serving each other, and we've made
that's
it really
great.
interactive, and
Uh,
that's been fun.
Our family always has an annual Passover Seder, and we use a Haggadah that I actually edited myself. And so I'm going to put the Haggadah on a web server so everybody can access it, and we'll use Zoom or Google Hangouts to dine together and have our service together, everybody reading from the Haggadah just as they would if we were sitting around a table. So we're excited about that. But get back to some of the things you were talking about activities and things that parents can do with kids.
Yeah, well, I just like what we were just talking about, how I think everyone's relying on video chatting right now um, for teachers to deliver virtual lessons and for people to have meetings like you and I have had. I'm sure throughout the last few days it's
Yeah.
been a busy schedule, but I like these two ideas that we just shared of how you can use video chat to play games together, to have meals together, it doesn't just have to be your quote unquote video phone call. It can be something a lot more creative that is really more quality time.
Yeah.
And I think we can encourage our children to do that with their friends. So
Hmm.
my children have been doing homework with their friends because they were sent home with some, optional work, but it's good for them to keep on top of it, and they can help one another with math. Or I think my 11-year-old has been writing and singing songs with her best friend.
That's great.
um, yeah, and writing stories together, and they're using a combination of Google Docs to collaborate on the actual document, and then FaceTime to actually be in the same room together, so to speak, while they're working on their story. So I
By
think
the,
those are some great collaboration tools.
by the way, I know I just touched my face, but I have very carefully washed my hands, singing happy birthday to you twice, several
Yeah.
times today, even though I haven't even been outside. So, uh, you know, I have heard of a lot of examples of people doing things that they would normally do in the real world, or whatever you want to call it, in the physical world. For example, my wife is in a exercise class now, and she's doing it online. In Palo Alto, this wonderful organization called Magical Bridge, which has playgrounds designed for people with all abilities, is doing daily sing-alongs. And so talented people in the community are volunteering to sing or perform, and it's great. I mean, we've really been enjoying going and participating in these sing-alongs.
Yeah, I think we even a colleague of mine, it was her birthday yesterday, and normally a group of us get together who are on the admin team for one another's birthdays. So today we all sang her happy birthday via a virtual meeting, and I'm sure it sounded amazing.
Yeah.
But it's really important to help people, be connected in the ways that they normally would using these technology tools that we have at our fingertips, I think.
And by the way, speaking of connectivity, I want to kind of put a pitch in for an article which will be up on Connect Safely and larrysworld.com tomorrow, Thursday. I don't know when you're listening or watching this, but it's really designed for untech savvy people who may have a tech savvy friend on how to get remote tech support. So tools that you can put on your PC or your Mac now, and then you have a conversation with your tech savvy friend who you must trust because you're giving them remote control of your device. And be ready that in case you have a problem, your friend can log into your machine and help diagnose it and help fix it. So that's one thing that people are doing now, because obviously they can't come over. You can't go to the Apple store or the Microsoft store. You've got to rely on somebody remotely helping you. So we'll have some
Yeah.
advice for that too.
That's a great tip, and I think that'll be really helpful for people who are having to explore digital tools in order to stay connected in ways
Yeah.
that they're not really accustomed to. And so it's uncomfortable to be engaging in social distancing, but it's also uncomfortable to have to engage with tools that are not part of an ecosystem that you normally work with.
Luckily, the column hasn't been edited yet. I'm actually going to add that because that's a great idea. For example, installing Zoom. You and I are able to do that, but there are many
Mhm.
people who are maybe very good at things that we're not good at, who would have trouble doing that. So good idea, not just repairing, but actually enhancing our technology. Good thought.
That's right. I'm wondering if you're thinking of other things that parents could do with their children at home with the tools that they probably already have. I mean, a lot of parents, regardless of their economic status, have access to smartphones because there
Sure.
are great programs in place that provide them with that really important utility. Wondering if you have other ideas for what parents and
Well,
children could do
I
together.
mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, first of all, there are many, many games. Make sure you vet them, because if they're free, there's probably something that they're doing, at least displaying advertising. There are many games you can play together. In other words, you've got the phone in your hand or the tablet in your hand. The kids are gathered around. You can play those games together. There are some, as you know, that you can play remotely with people. I'm not a big game person, so I can't reel off names of them. Perhaps you can, but there are just tons of remote and local games that you can play. Plus, you're right, everybody, almost most people today have a smartphone, and there are a lot of learning tools as well. Just about everything you can do on a computer today, you can do on a smartphone.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, communicating with your child's teachers is really
Mhm.
important during this time because some schools have really robust remote learning programs. I'm lucky enough to work at a school where not only are they sort of giving me the opportunity to lead the program and provide training and vision for it, but we actually have the infrastructure built in to allow our teachers and students to really engage this way and
Mhm.
to say it is required for our students to do their
Yeah.
academic work.
Good.
Most schools in the United States don't have that kind of
Right.
infrastructure. And so a lot of the work that children are coming home with them is it's optional. But this remember that our teachers, they are teachers because they love kids. And
Right.
so teachers are really missing their students in a very genuine way.
Mhm.
So it's important to reach out to teachers through email. Let them know that you would be okay with your child having a video chat with them so that they can maintain that connection, and even say like, here's what my son or daughter has worked on with me at home. They would love to share it with you so that they can get some feedback from you and you can still feel connected with them, because that teacher student relationship is really an important relationship in your child's
Absolutely.
life.
My daughter teaches kindergarten at a very low income school. And some of the students, she's using Zoom and Google Hangouts for video chats. In many cases, she's just calling them on the phone. She just checks in
Mhm.
with the kids and the parents. And if all they have is the phone, then that's the tool they use. And that works
A
fine.
really a really great tip for that, because I'm doing the same. I'm using the phone to connect with some families and colleagues. Um, if you dial *67 before you dial the number that you're calling, it protects your phone number from being identified. So I
Good.
know there are some really strict rules for teachers in maintaining some clear sort of boundaries in terms of the relationships they have with their students. So that's one thing we've been advising our teachers at my school. Feel free to call, talk as much as they need to talk in order to stay connected and maintain their sort of positive forward momentum with their
Mhm.
academics, but make sure you use that *67 to protect
And
your
you might
number.
want to somehow notify the parents that if they get a private number, it may not be a spammer. It may be, in fact, their teacher. My doctor does the same thing. When they call from a private. They don't share their phone number for the same reasons or similar reasons as folks that teach. Yeah. Any other ideas? I want to keep this podcast relatively short. And again, we're experimenting. As I mentioned earlier, Zencaster, which is a tool we usually use, is overwhelmed and so very slow. So we're using Zoom to do a video recording, and we're going to grab the audio track. So we're hoping all this works. I want to keep it short because I want to make sure it works before we go too far. But
Sure.
any other ideas?
Yeah. So, in addition to live video chats, I think the camera feature of basically any device can do so much more than you think. So, I would
Hmm.
encourage, like, my children have built giant forts in our living room out of, chairs and pillows and blankets. They've also built obstacle courses throughout the house. Encourage them to take pictures of their process, and then you can use a really easy video editing tool. Some of my favorites include Adobe Spark Video. It's free. You can create an account with your email address and then allow your children to use it to build a video that the final video that you create will look really professional and high quality,
Yep.
using the images that they took of their day. And then you can just get a link and send that link out to their friends or family so that they have an opportunity to share a little bit of their day.
That's
Um,
great.
yeah, and they can also use that to produce sort of PSAs, like, here's what we did to pass the time while we're under social distancing guidelines. You know, this is our idea. If you decide to do the same thing, share with us how it went. And
Right.
then you, with your children's permission, you can share their creation maybe on your Facebook or your social media,
Mm.
and really encourage some interaction in that way. And it also really gets them to start thinking about storyboarding and how to tell a story appropriately. How do you show the step by step that you engaged in your
Great.
process,
Oh, it's a good
and how
learning
do you
tool.
communicate that effectively to others? And that's a really great learning tool for
Yeah.
communication.
Well, the production quality isn't as good, but I've been using Facebook Live to just chat with people. Now, unfortunately, it's a one-way thing, so at some point I feel like I'm just giving a monologue, and I don't think I'm that entertaining. But I have gotten good feedback of people, and my wife and I did it together. And don't go on for long, maybe 5 minutes, just to kind of check in with people. And then if you want to, you can have that remain on your Facebook page for people to watch, or just you can make it so it goes away and it's simply a live experience. And you
Yeah,
can do that with your
absolutely,
kids as well,
absolutely.
of course.
Yes,
Okay.
for
Any
sure.
any other thoughts? And we'll do this. We're going to do this a lot over over what I'm hoping is not a long period of time, but we don't know yet. Any other thoughts before we say goodbye?
I mean, I think there are so many possibilities that we can do at home with our children, and work-life balance is important. So, give them permission to be creative, and don't forget about the creative uses of the tools that you already have in your home.
Yep. And creativity is really important. And what's really amazing is I'm sure a lot of folks out there have ideas that you and I have not thought of. So, share them with your friends, share them with us. Kerry, thanks again. Go back to your very busy day at home, as I will as well. And we'll talk
Thank
very
you,
soon.
Larry.
Thanks so much.
We
Take
will.